Hi, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of the School Librarian Learning Network podcast. I'm Steve Tatro, often known as Dr. T Loves Books, and I love talking about all things related to school libraries. I'm an old dog who's always trying to learn new tricks. That's why in each episode of the SLLN podcast, I'll chat with a school librarian about a lesson, program, or activity they love. Hopefully, this can be a place for school librarians to get ideas and find new ways to engage with their students and staff. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear about what you and your friends are doing in your school library. Email me at drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com to tell me about what you're doing, offer feedback about the SLLN podcast, or to request a podcast sticker. As Amy Herman likes to say, being a guest on a podcast is a great way to show your admins you are engaged in meaningful professional development and leadership in the profession. So drop me a line and let's chat. That being said, the opinions and ideas shared in this podcast by myself and my guests are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. I just like to geek out about school libraries. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode. Hey everybody, we are back, and this week I get to talk to somebody that I actually ran into, and it didn't even occur to me at first that we kind of knew each other before. But before I jump too far ahead, let me say welcome, Miranda. I'm so glad you can be here. Why don't you take a second, tell folks who you are, where you're at, what you do.
Hello, I am Miranda Quintero. I am a school librarian in Fort Worth, Texas. That is the other side of the Metroplex from Dallas. So if you've heard of Dallas and you haven't heard of Fort Worth, we're a really, really major city just to the west of Dallas. And I work in a Title I elementary school, pre-K through fifth grade, about 530 students, and Title I. So it's low income, but high needs. And yeah, I love my job. It's great to be here.
That's awesome. 530 across K-5?
Yes, and we're actually going to be getting another about 175 this next year because there's a school up the road that's closing, and they're going to split that campus between us and another campus up around the corner. So we're going to have almost 700 kids, maybe over 700 kids about.
A lot of kids in one place.
Mm-hmm. Lots of kids.
The little ones. Boy,
yes.
That's got to, my mind is going to bad places picturing 700 little ones running around together, but.
Well, it's pre-K through fifth. So, once they get to about the second grade age, they're a little bit more autonomous and capable of, walking and getting places. It's just the little ones that we worry about the most.
Yeah. I can see what that would be. That is not my, the little ones, bless you for taking care of them, because not my wheelhouse right there. But
I say often that I am not meant to be a primary teacher. I taught fifth grade for almost a decade. I was a fifth grade literacy teacher, and then I became a librarian and moved into the library. And every time I work with the littles, and I have my own children who are young and in pre-K, first grade. But I say, I'm not a primary teacher, but I will do it in the library, but I could not do it full time. I don't know how they do it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. Now, so you were a teacher before, and you were ELA teacher?
Yes, I taught bilingual literacy. So I focused mostly on literacy. I did do some science and a little bit of, like social studies, history, things like that. But mostly the focus was on RLA and Spanish language arts.
Gotcha. And so how did you end up getting into the library?
I was a successful teacher. In my fourth year of teaching, I was actually awarded Teacher of the Year for the entire district.
Wow.
So it's a large district too. It's not like it's a tiny little 5-school district. We have 100 schools almost. And so it was quite an honor in my fourth year of teaching. And I'm thinking, this is great. Have I peaked? What do I need to do? And so I actually had always kind of had the thought, the library, what a cool place to be. What does that look like? And I had some other colleagues who had gone into library school, and then I had my first child, and I thought, if I'm ever going to make the move, now's the time. And so in 2019, I went back to school to get my certification. I already had my master's, so I just needed a little bit more. In Texas, you have to have a master's degree to be a school librarian. And so I transferred in, and then 2019, I was working part-time in the school still, and then COVID hit, and we were like, oh my gosh. And that's when I entered into the library. So I started in August of 2020 in the school library, and very quickly, baptism by fire technology and learning all the technology and how to get kids connected and how to teach the parents to get the kids connected and how to troubleshoot with teachers who have never used technology before. And then slowly transitioning into the one-to-one to devices. And so as a school librarian, it's not just the books. We do the books. Obviously, that's a very large part of our job. But for me, it's also been integrating the technology and then helping teach responsible technology use.
Oh,
And I think a lot of that came directly from my kind of happening right at the moment of coming in at 2020.
yeah. Wow, boy,
Yeah.
that is a real time
Hmm.
to have walked through the door.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And so we had actually run into each other at
Hmm.
TXLA 24, I
Yes.
think it was,
Yeah.
which I had totally blanked on that. And then when I saw I was on Instagram, folks. I
Hmm.
saw people on Instagram, and I saw Miranda. She shared this awesome idea, and so I wanted to talk to her about it. And looking at that, I was like, "Oh, that's right. We actually had run into each other before."
Uh-huh.
So that's awesome. I'm so glad
Yes.
we're getting to catch up again.
TLA is the premier conference. If you go to a state conference, if you ever are looking for a place to go, TLA is the absolute best state conference. I think it rivals ALA's conference, is what I hear. I haven't been to an ALA conference, but I do hear that it's pretty amazing comparatively.
It was incredible. I went to
Yeah.
Texas twice, and
Hmm.
folks, if you get the opportunity, if you're able to swing it, do it, because it is incredible, and you get to meet awesome folks like
Yes.
Miranda. So
Yeah.
now,
Woohoo.
the reason that I had been stalking you, the reason I reached out, is you had shared this awesome Instagram story about a lesson and activity that
Hmm.
you do with your students, and I was hoping you could kind of tell us about it. And before we get into sort of the details of it, can you maybe give me like where did this idea come from? What was the beginning of this for you?
So, really interestingly, so the book that we used is "I Am Every Good Thing" by Derek Barnes. And one, I had met Derek Barnes at TLA, and I was like, "Oh yes, I know your book." Okay, and he had been promoting his newest book at that time, which was like Lava in My Veins. And I said, "Okay, I know this guy. I totally know. He's the author of King of Kindergarten, which is a really really big like picture book for the littles, because it's like this kid going to kindergarten the first time and how he's going to be the king of kindergarten. But I Am Every Good Thing was one of the books that when I was planning a summer programming for this last year, I came across that title and thought, oh, this is great. And not only did this title exist in English, but it was published in Spanish. And as a bilingual librarian and as a librarian in Texas, where a good chunk of our students are Hispanic and speak Spanish, it's really important to provide those books as well in Spanish as well as in English. So I had prepared a whole event in the summertime. We were doing a summer story time. I won a grant from TLA and HEB, which HEB is the grocery store here in Texas.
Oh,
If you
okay.
don't know Texas, if you don't know HEB, you don't know. But HEB is like the Whole Foods, but with like cheaper prices, and it has like everything you could ever want, and it's got fresh tortillas, and they've got every cheese across the world you could think of, and
Mm,
all these amazing deals. And HEB is a way of life here. So HEB loves TLA and loves libraries, and
awesome.
HEB has done a campaign now 2 years in a row where the register, you can donate for a cause, and TLA's the cause. And
Wow,
so it's amazing. This
that's
year,
incredible.
they raised over $400,000 for TLA to use to give to libraries for summer programming. So they have,
Wow.
and I mean, they have a whole nother initiative that's like all about literacy and pushing literacy for young children. And so I applied for the grant and got it to do a summer story time, just to continue having kids come to school, have a snack, have a book, and then be able to take a book home with them. We did STEM challenges with it. And so that's where I really had dug in with the book. And
That's incredible.
whenever it came back to February, I'm like, okay, it's Black History Month. I know what book we're going to be reading with my lower kids. Like, we're going to be reading I Am Every Good Thing. And with my Spanish speaking classes, it's going to be Yo Soy Cada Cosa Buena. The book is about essentially Black excellence and the amazing things that Black Americans bring to our community and how we should be celebrating them. And not only that, but all the lives that have been lost because of racism and hatred. Should these people should know, I am these good things. I am not the negative things that people say about me.
Hmm.
I am not this racist ideology that is being thrown at us.
Yeah.
I am excellence. And having my kids read that, hear that. I work with mostly Hispanic kids, but I do have Black kids as well. And it's always important to go beyond a Heritage Month and show kids like this is an important book.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of where it all started. And then as I was like, well, we're going to read this book, but I want to tie this into something more. So what more are we going into? Stop me if I'm talking
No,
too
no,
much.
no. This is
But
outstanding. This is great.
this is where I kind of went from there. I'm like, okay, well, how can I take what this book is saying? I am every good thing. I am this. I am excellence. I am greatness. I am not what they think that they say I am. I am all these other things. And it made me think of affirmations because really it is a book of affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I need to have my kids say affirmations. I need them to think, okay, what is the good thing that I'm bringing? And really the lesson started with my special ed class, which is like, this is a self-contained special ed class where these kids are not writing on grade level or reading on grade level or anything like that, but they are able to follow direction and be engaged. And so I thought, okay, let me find a video that does affirmations for kids that are basic enough. And that's when I found the YouTube video, goes with it. And we literally sat. And I mean, with my special ed kids, we sit on the floor. I sit on the floor with them. They, many of them are like diagnosed with autism, like lower functioning autism and, Down syndrome or various other syndromes. And so I sit on the floor with them. We're snuggled up together half the time. They sit
Absolutely.
on my lap. We sit and we're sitting and saying these affirmations. And I'm just sitting here thinking, God, this is powerful. I am strong. I am capable. I'm a good person. I am excellent. And hearing them repeat this back, and I'm thinking, this is a whole nother community that the world is saying you can't because
Yeah.
you have this, you have this, you have this. And I'm putting them in this space and saying, no, 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 no. You are all these things. You are capable. You are smart. You are kind. And so then we segued into creating our own self-portraits and then writing a statement about ourselves. What do we believe? Now, with that group, of course, it was a lot harder to pull out something that they felt was really, powerful about themselves. One of them's like, I am, and then wrote his name. And it's like, well, you are.
That
Hey,
is
yeah,
true.
that's right. You are that person. But then I also did the same thing with a couple of my lower grade classes. And I did it with, like kinder and first grade. And this is really a time where we're developing personalities. And
Mm.
I say, okay, well, not only do I want you to do a self-portrait, but I want you to do a self-portrait of something that you love about yourself, that you're good at, that you feel gives you confidence. And, some kids are saying, oh, well, I love to dance ballet and I'm really good at reading. I'm really good at soccer. And so they're drawing all these beautiful things about themselves and then writing that affirmation. I am good at soccer. I am smart in my class, and giving them that space to reflect on themselves, I think is so important. So
Oh,
tying in
man.
that like SEL and Black
Yeah.
History Month and all of it together.
So great. And, we often talk about reading joy, and
Mhm.
this is such an interesting spin on reading joy because it is reading for the intent of we are going to read about things that are going to hopefully elevate us and make us
Mhm.
feel that joy. And then you're taking it and and not making them, helping them reflect on
Right.
the many ways that they are bringing something to this important to our
Mhm.
community, to our conversation. Oh,
Yes.
wow. I'm picturing it in my head and just I'm melting inside. Like, this is so wonderful that they are getting this opportunity and that you're bringing it. I mean, a lot of times we have the conversations with them about these things.
Mhm.
We'll talk about SEL in all the grade levels these days, and talk about what is it that makes you different, special? What are the things that you're proud of? Awesome stuff, great stuff. But you're really just taking it to that next level by having them do the self-portraits and think about how they can sort of preserve this moment. Like, I am just imagining these kids in a couple of years looking back on these and having that just swell of pride that
Mhm.
here's where I was, and now using that as a reflection piece to think about where have I come since then, and how do I
Mhm.
see myself the same? How do I see myself differently? Oh boy,
Well,
this
and
is wonderful.
this is my second year on this campus, so I'm really starting to dig in and get to know the kids better because it's not just a surface level. I'm starting to see them, more consistently. I'm getting to know them, things that they
Mhm.
like to read, things that motivate them. as that goes, I feel like I'm the one person, as I like to brag, I'm the only person in the whole school that sees every single kid. I see
Mhm.
every single kid, pre-K through 5th grade. Our youngest ones don't go to the specials classes. I see them, and I see every other grade level. I see everyone, and I see them every single week. I see 530 kids a week.
Ooh.
Okay. It's a lot,
It is
but
a lot.
how special is that space is given to them to be outside of the academic setting where
Yes.
it's all you have to be on grade level, you have to keep up, you have to do this, you have all these things to get done, and then they come into my room and I'm saying, "Well, we get to do this. It's
Yes.
not we have to, we get to do these things together." How great is
Mhm.
that?
Mhm. Well, it's interesting. I was recently kind of having a conversation with somebody about how public libraries are third spaces in our
Mm,
communities,
mhm,
and the school library is sort of that third space in schools where it's not exactly a classroom environment. You know, you're not required to do certain things,
mhm,
but it's also not like just free for all lunchtime or, it's occupying a third sort of space where there is
mhm,
some supervision, but there's also freedom. There's things to learn, but there's also things to enjoy. And it's like such a unique blend of all of these different elements from across the school. And it's so disheartening when people talk about how, yeah, we lost our school library, and the people making these
mhm.
decisions don't understand the importance of what a school library is, what it does, how much it supports the students and the staff and everybody. And I'm preaching to the choir, so I apologize, but
I mean, that is literally the reason why I have my social media is advocating for my library space, but putting
Mhm.
out there so people know what it is we're doing in libraries. We're
Yeah.
not just checking in and out books. We're doing a laundry list of things. And it's not, you may not see me doing things, but behind the scenes, I'm working through so many different little things. This year we started 3D printing in the library. We have a 3D printer and we're
Nice.
doing incentivization of reading. So we have accelerated reader, which some people are for, some people are against. I personally have seen the benefit of it, and I try to motivate in a way that is positive by being very fair about goal setting and very targeted in what we're doing with the AR. And then also the phrasing like, oh, that's not an AR test, but it's a fun read book. Go take it, read it, enjoy it. They always take the book. Okay, it's not an AR book. Who cares? Read it. And then they do. And they come back and they say, I love this book. Great. There was no AR test. That's okay. That's fine. You enjoyed it. That's what's important.
Mhm.
But the 3D printing we're starting, and the kids are just so thrilled and so into it. Oh my gosh, that's how this printer works. That's how, and all these little things that I'm doing that you may not see it when you walk in the room. I'm behind a computer, but I'm I'm slicing G code. I'm I'm preparing, school-wide incentivization and reading promotion.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting space to be in because
Yeah.
people think they know what we do,
Yes.
and they see us and think they're like, well, what are they doing all day? They're just on a computer,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
don't really realize. So
Yeah.
that's why my social media all exists, is
Yeah.
just to put out there, hey, this is what I'm actually doing.
It's awesome too. You've got
Yeah.
some amazing stuff that you're sharing
Thank
out.
you.
So I appreciate that you shared this one out in particular because it really was just so wonderfully affirming and wonderfully engaging for the students. Man, it just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I got to talk to you about this.
Yay.
So you did this with, you said your K students?
Yes, K and first.
K and
Yeah.
first.
So I
Okay.
started with my special ed, which is ranging from first through 5th grade. But then I continued the lesson with my kinder and first graders.
I love that it is something that is going to work with all of your students, no matter what level, no matter what ability level, no matter what, even I would imagine since you were doing bilingual,
Mm-hmm.
ELL, like it doesn't, as
Yes.
long as the kids can come up with, I'm kind of curious now though, do they, since you're doing the book bilingual with students,
Mm-hmm.
do the students who speak Spanish do an affirmation in Spanish? Do they do it in English? Do they do both?
The cool thing about our bilingual classes is that we have currently we technically don't have, but we have had in the past two-way dual language and one-way dual language. So two-way dual language is where students are from both backgrounds, English dominant and Spanish dominant, and then they're put
Okay.
in a class together and learn with each other from each other. And so with that, in like a class like that, that's up to them. I am not going to prescribe a language for them to use. If Spanish is not your comfortable language, I'm not going to prescribe you have to do that. However, if you are comfortable writing in Spanish, please do. You're told you have to write in English all day long in your classroom. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that here. This is a safe space for you to be yourself. So they really have the ability to choose. I never say it has to be done in this language.
I imagine if they're doing self-portraits, that they're including elements of themselves that are going to be recognizable to the audience, no
Yes.
matter which language the affirmation might be in. Do they include the affirmation? Let me back up and ask. They are creating self-portraits.
Yes.
When they do the portraits, are they also putting an affirmation on the self-portrait?
Yeah, on the page. So the way I modeled it to them was that I drew myself and I said, okay, here's my hair. It's straight. I'm putting this straight hair. I'm wearing my glasses. You can see my pink glasses. I'm going to do it in this color. You can see that, I've got my cardigan on, and you can see the V of my cardigan with the buttons down the front. So they're starting to recognize, okay, I see who this is. There were some that I did like a full body, and I was wearing cow print shoes. And I said, that person who's wearing cow print shoes. And they're like looking around. They're like, that's you. I know it's me. I'm trying to model. It's myself. And then having them write their name really large on the page. That's me. And then having them write I am. And so giving them a sentence stem. And that's the same thing like in English or in Spanish. It would be I am, yo soy. And giving them the stem to go off of, and then them saying whatever they want to say about themselves.
That's awesome. And I love that having the image go with the words, even if an audience member who might be viewing these may not understand the language necessarily, they're still have that image to get across the point that is being.
Right. I had some students who were saying, I'm really good at painting. And so they're drawing themselves with a paintbrush in their hand, and, like doing color on a like an art easel. And so that obviously like, okay, I can see that they're doing art. They like to do art.
Yeah. And I just love anytime we can help our ELL students communicate in the way that's most comfortable to them. And a lot of times it's going to be their home language, whatever that might be.
Right.
And we're not always going to have fluency facility. The people around them aren't going to have fluency necessarily with their language, and they may not have fluency in English as well. So pairing it with the image is such a great tool to help bridge that gap and just paper it over. Like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if we know the language.
I actually have a degree in bilingual bicultural education. So I'm sure that has a really big influence in just in that subconscious planning of my lessons. And I taught, I've taught, English language learners for many, many, many years.
It's amazing. Boy, this is such a great activity, and it's something that you're doing it with littles, but I can see this working with any grade level. Like this is something that I almost would want to do on an annual basis with kids, especially if I was going to be seeing them for a while, and have them almost have like a portfolio or a portrait gallery that they could sort of year to year see.
It's kind of giving me an idea of working with my art teacher. We had at the beginning of the year, they did do a self-portrait at the beginning of the year that they did with the color wheel. So there's color wheel, each grade level had a different color within the color wheel. And so they created this big rainbow portrait of everyone in the school. Everyone got like a note card, and they did their self-portrait, and they did it in the colors that their grade level did. And then it's all put together in our hallway with everyone's self-portrait. And I do love that idea of maybe kind of creating a thing where what do you look like year to year? How are you changing, and what is it that you're affirming? It's almost like a vision board, which makes me think of a lesson I did do previously with my fourth graders. We did a vision board in January, and this was last year. So it wasn't this last year. I didn't do it again this year, but making me think like I do need to pull that out and try that again, where it was like a vision board. It was a one-word vision board. And so we talked about how one word can hold a lot of power over us. And if we want to have one word, what is that word going to be that we're going to set intentionality, purpose for, the rest of our year or the rest of our school year, or even just, to the end of the calendar year. And I gave them examples, like strong, dedication, effort. And Some of them took words from the list, and other ones, came up with ones as well. One kid's like soccer, and I'm like, soccer, tell me about that. Like, what is the intentionality behind that? And he says, well, I mean, I'm on this team and I really want to be able to score the goals. And I know that I have to practice at that and I've got to push myself. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you see that word, you put that card up on your mirror in the bathroom and you see soccer, you know that that's what I'm working towards.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's more, that intentionality. So
Yeah.
I have done something kind of like that with like larger or older kids, older grades, where we're really that like self introspection. I think is so important, especially
Oh,
as they're, hormonally. And if
yeah.
anyone's ever taught fifth graders, how difficult, how
25 years in middle school,
challenging.
so I'm with you.
Middle schoolers are just such little strange birds. They just need so
Yes.
much guidance and
Yes.
also no one telling them what to do.
Yes. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Both at the same time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I had done a lesson with my students where they did a flag to introduce themselves to the class at the beginning of the
Yes.
school year. And so it was very symbolic. And, we talked about symbolism and all that stuff because it was an English teacher. So we did those in like literally the first 2 days of school. And then at the end of the year, we went back to them and we said, okay, so what are we seeing from then to now? Like, what's the same? What's
Right.
changed? And the reflections that they had, like even just the out loud conversations they were having with each other about, oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about, oh, that's so awesome. And just giving them that opportunity, like you're saying, to have that reflection time. And that's unfortunately so much of what is important comes down to time. And that is the one thing that we can't make more of. And that we just are always constantly trying to find those extra seconds here and there. But man, having that opportunity for them to look back, even just a year. But I imagine if you got them K-5, what a great opportunity to really have them do some deep reflecting as they get toward the, into fifth grade. And
Absolutely. I just have so many ideas right now. My brain
yeah,
is just pinging ideas all around.
that's what happens every time I have these conversations with somebody. My brain just feels like it's on fire.
Mhm.
It's the best. I'm also thinking about that rainbow that your art teacher does. What an awesome idea that is. And imagine if they did a little affirmation on the rainbow.
Mhm.
I am.
Mhm.
And now you've got this rainbow of strength and
I love
rainbow of
this.
power.
Oh,
And they
so
keep
great.
those cards and they can keep them in the library from years.
Mhm.
I don't know. Sorry.
There's
I'm
so many awesome ideas. Well,
there's
and
so much
especially as we're acquiring another school on our campus, we're really going to be integrating a whole new group of kids into our
yeah.
campus. And I think that there's a lot of unease because the closure came a little bit sooner than everyone was expecting.
Mm.
So we knew that this closure was happening, but it was supposed to happen at the end of next year, not the end of this
Oh,
year. And so the timeline moving has really made it difficult and just really heartbreaking because it's such a great school, but it's so tiny and the district's closing it. And it's
mm.
just a bit stressful for those families. So
Yeah.
the thought of these kids coming into a new space, a much bigger campus, lots of people they don't know,
Mhm.
providing space for them to be able to say, hey, I'm coming into this space and I know that this is what I'm bringing to it.
Yeah.
Is a great, great opportunity.
Yeah. Wow. I'm jealous that you are going to get to have
Yay!
this opportunity with them.
I'm
That's really
excited.
awesome. Man, well, this is an awesome, awesome thing. I'm so glad you put it out there. I'm so glad we got to talk through it because I'm already thinking about how I might play with this with my middle schoolers a bit and see if we can bring this on board because this is such a cool thing for them to do. Oh boy. But I think we are now at the point we're going to take our 90-degree turn and go into our book break.
Book break.
Squiddy!
Woohoo! Book
Love the book
break.
break.
Da, da,
Yeah.
da, da, da,
Dun,
da,
dun,
da,
dun, dun,
da.
dun, dun. I have to, at some point, I'm going to have to take all the little noises and sounds and little songs that people have put together for the book break and just make it into a little theme because
Yes, absolutely.
it's just so great. So yeah, anything you want to put on some folks' radar, can be personal, professional, student, staff, yourself, whatever. There's no limits. Whatever
There's
you want to bring.
so many books. I
I
know.
know, right?
I think through what books do I recommend? I mean, there's always a book. I just recommended it again today to a kid, and she took it. Front Desk by Kelly Yang. I cannot
Oh yeah.
recommend Front Desk by Kelly Yang more than I ever. Like that is the experience that no one has had and everyone has had, and there's so many parts of it that are so real and raw and experiences that people are living through currently in our country, across the world. And I think that for a kid trying to see, I fit in, but I don't fit in, but I fit in, that is just one of the best books to have a kid read. And Kelly Yang is just such a phenomenal person, author, everything she believes in. I adore her, and I will recommend her book until I die. She's amazing. The whole series, but truly Front Desk is just the icing on the cake. In terms of books, recently I've just been thinking, like, what books am I recommending now? What books am I recommending? I was on the Tejas reading list committee, which is a reading list put out by TLA every year of books in Spanish for children from 5 to 12. And so it's elementary age level. I always recommend whatever's on Tejas Star. I've been through the selection process for 3 years consecutively. I know it goes into finding those books on the list and reviewing the books, not only the actual books that are published in English, it's all the translations or the books that are originally written in Spanish. If there's ever anyone looking for a Spanish language book, starting with the Tejas Star reading list is the place to go. Everyone needs to know about this list.
Would I be correct in thinking there's a website for the Tejas Star reading list?
Yes, it is on. It is through TLA, so it is like one of the reading list tabs from TLA.
Awesome. I'm going to make sure that link goes in the show notes so people can get right to it, because it
is a list that comes out. Yeah, it comes out every year in about the February time, and it is just. It's a labor of love because no one on these reading lists gets paid anything. Okay, we get books sent to us, but no one's getting paid to do it. It's all volunteer hours. It's all just the amazing efforts that just small cohorts of librarians are putting together to make sure that the best books are in kids' hands. And so I love that. I just absolutely love that. I always think the work that goes into these lists is amazing. And we need to trust these librarians.
Yeah. And that's another one of those things that people aren't seeing that's going on behind the scenes that is so incredibly important and shows the dedication and the care and the intent that school librarians bring. Not just school librarians, public librarians have some great lists too, but I'm going to plug for the school librarians in particular because, man, dealing with kids every day instead of dealing with adults all day is a very different kettle of fish. So
we are with the kids. We are in the trenches. We know. Yeah. We know what's up.
Yeah, exactly. So Front Desk, absolutely, definitely got to have a link for the Tejas Star reading list. Love it. Any other things you want to toss out there?
Oh man, I mean, I have been reading. Most of the adult books I read are usually like mysteries or fantasy. I can't necessarily say there's anyone that I'm like, I would recommend this over anything else because mostly I read right before I go to sleep, and I have 3 children, 7 and under. So as soon as I lay down to read my book, I read about 3 pages and then I fall asleep.
So nothing wrong with that.
The adult level books, I don't know if I necessarily have too many.
Doesn't have to be like the thing that everybody has to read, but if there's something that we're like, this was fun, this was enjoyable, that's okay too.
I just read the Caldecott honor book, Chooch helped.
Okay.
Or no, Caldecott winner, Chooch helped, and it's about this girl, Sissy, who her little brother, they call him Chooch because in the Cherokee language, it's Achucha or something to that effect. I'm wrong about how that is, but his nickname is Chooch, and Chooch is the little brother who always helps, quote unquote. And it's been so funny because so much of the story is told through the illustrations. And reading it with my youngest readers, I'm really trying to dig in and teach them that inferencing based off of all the information we can gather. They constantly tell me, oh, well, I don't know how to read yet. And I tell them, do you not know how to read? What is happening on this page? And then they tell me everything that's happening on the page. And I said, you just read the illustrations. I can read? Yes, you can. So Chooch is doing all these things and he is helping make the food and he is helping water the plants. And as you can imagine, he's not helping much. And then finally Sissy yells at him, oh my gosh, stop it. I don't need your help. Go away. And he cries. And then the parents get mad. Don't make him cry. Why'd you make him cry? And all the time I'm sitting here thinking, my children do this all the time. And in the end, Sissy is sad because her parents yelled at her and Chooch is sad because she yelled at him. And then finally he comes in and he helps and he just hugs her and it's just so heartwarming. And then so much of it, like I said, is told through the illustrations. Everyone apologizes and we realize, okay, you know what? Our younger siblings are learning from us. So, and then, many of my students have little siblings and they are always, oh my gosh, my little sister, my little brother. Having this little book that shows them it's okay. You can get mad. They want to help, but they want to help and they're learning from you.
Yeah.
And if you can just show them with love and compassion, that's going to be something that makes our world a better place.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
boy. That sounds
Love that
wonderful.
one. That was a great
Yeah.
one. I didn't think I was going to love it so much. I was like, okay, this is pictures, but it was amazing.
Man. And so you said it in there, you just sparked another idea for something because you were talking about how the kids are looking at the images versus the words, and they may not always match up especially in picture books, especially in good picture books, I will say. That you get that sort of ability to read the images and that influences how you're understanding the story. What a great lesson on the importance of context and understanding where information is coming from. And if we only read the words, would we be getting the whole story? No. So, oh man, you just have so many things bouncing around my head now. I love this. This is so great.
Picture books. I mean, picture books and with kids who don't know how to read the words. I mean, that's the biggest thing is our youngest readers are not actually reading, but they are able to understand so much. And we have to impart on them from the beginning as they are learning to read that, yes, the words are important, but what goes with the words are also, they are chosen to be there. And illustrators wouldn't have a job if they didn't have the importance of illustrating these picture books to explain something.
Absolutely. Visual literacy. We got to hit all the literacies. That's great.
Yep.
Man. Well, thank you so much for bringing all of this. Great book recommendations, a million ideas. So awesome. If folks are not already following you, they are missing out. So where should they go online if they want to track you down?
So I am on Instagram. My largest platform is Instagram at Bilingual Bibliotecaria, which is just librarian in Spanish, bibliotecaria. And I have made my foray into TikTok. So I am now in the TikTok world as well.
Congratulations.
Same handle. Yeah. I'm like, should I make this jump? Should I do it? And I finally said, I can't keep trying to see the TikToks my friends show me by deleting parts of the URL. And I'm just going to do it. Let's just go ahead. And so here we are on the TikTok and Instagram. And I also have a page on Facebook that everything is all shared to. So all the platforms. I'm not on X. I let that die.
Yep.
I let that die. So you can follow me on Blue Sky Social as well. All the same handle, Bilingual Bibliotecaria. I'm there.
Awesome. We're going to have all those links because people should definitely, if they're not already following you, they need to get on it because so much good stuff going on. So thank you. I appreciate folks. I don't think we mentioned during the recording that Miranda is just had her last day of school before spring break, and she is here right after finishing her last day of school before spring break to talk to us. What generosity. I tell you, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
It has been such a pleasure. I love talking about the library, and I just absolutely have had a blast sharing out all the things. And now I have so many ideas, and I have 9 whole days to think about them before going back to work.
Nice. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the SLLN podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for the episode. They feature links to resources shared by our guest, as well as ways to keep in touch with them, and links to the book break titles. I'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback, a comment, an idea, a question, or something you want to share, you can email drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. Know a librarian with something we could learn from? Let us know. Until next time, be good, be safe, and be well.